So obviously we know that one of the more interesting stories in the Vancouver Canucks season that was the addition of former Edmonton Oiler Evander Kane. The fact is, Patrick Allvin kind of helped the Edmonton Oilers out by acquiring Evander Kane in a deal that saw them just give back their fourth-round draft pick to the Oilers. Pretty tough stuff. The Canucks, might I remind you, they traded Vasily Podkolzin for Edmonton's 2025 fourth-round pick. The Canucks then traded that same pick back over to Edmonton in a one-for-one trade for Evander Kane with no salary retained, which, that didn't really work out all too well. I was very optimistic about the trade, admittedly. I looked at Evander Kane's seasons, and I was like, hey, this guy had 24 goals 2 seasons ago, but he still did that. And he was half a point a game in the playoffs. I was like, you know what? If this guy can bring that physical element, if he can score some goals, yeah, it's win for Quinn season. Maybe Evander Kane isn't the worst addition to make in this context. And then we realized shortly after that the physical edge wasn't really there. Yeah, Kane had 92 penalty minutes, but most of those were just him taking dumb penalties. It wasn't him standing up for guys and burying players into the corner like Tyler Myers on Duncan Keith all those years ago. It was just Evander Kane being silly, tripping guys, slashing guys, being just irresponsible on the ice, and costing the Canucks some significant time at 5v5. He scored 31 points and 71 goals. No, not 71 goals, 13 goals in 71 games. But this number wasn't really positive enough to justify the lack of general value Canucks fans saw Kane bring to the team. He was taking up ice time that should have been given to younger players. He was being put in top 6 positions the entire year, courtesy of Adam Foote. And Kane just did not have that culture environment thing that Vancouver seemed to have been looking for by the time the year had concluded. The Canucks got him to his 1,000 games, and then they were like, all right, great. He doesn't need to play anymore. That's it. So Evander Kane, he gets capped off at 71 games on the year. He ends up doing all the stuff that he needed to do, and he finishes off the season with 1,001 total games. The Canucks had so many more opportunities to actually play him, but they didn't because they already realized, hey, he's kind of checked out here. Is he the best option to have? Not sure. Anyways, the reason we're talking about Evander Kane in this video today is because of some of the rumors that have been going out there about his next destination. You see, we already made some videos talking about where Kane could go next, but even if you go over to Elite Prospects, right here, it says some doubtful things about Evander Kane's future that we can go out there and read more about on the Hockey News subreddit. Hockey Patrol posted this, Kane and Russia. Evander Kane's NHL career may be approaching a very different chapter. According to Sport Express reporter Mikhail Zislis, Ak Bars Kazan of the KHL has shown interest in signing the 35-year-old winger. Kane has played 1,001 NHL games and recorded 648 points, spending last season with the Canucks, where he finished with 31 points in 71 games. For most of his career, Kane was one of the NHL's most recognizable power forwards, physical, productive, and constantly surrounded by attention. Now, after more than 1,000 games in North America, one of his most serious opportunities could reportedly come from Russia. That would be a pretty dramatic turn for a player who once carried a $7 million cap hit and spent years playing major roles for Winnipeg, Buffalo, San Jose, and Edmonton. Nothing is signed yet, and KHL interest does not necessarily mean Kane is finished in the NHL. But the longer he remains without an NHL contract, the more realistic an overseas move becomes. Now, the top reply says he had 2 points in 12 games the last time he went to Russia. It's weird how a guy can have good stats in the NHL and go to a lesser league and put up the points of a fringe fourth liner. That's because in Russia they spread a layer of vodka on top of the... Okay, we're not going to go out there and acknowledge that. Kane, last time he suited up in the Continental Hockey League, it was during the 2012-2013 lockout, where he had 2 points in 12 games for Dynamo Minsk. Now, who else was on that team? Obviously, there were a number of NHLers that found themselves in KHL organizations. Look at this, Teemu Laine. Who the hell is that? Huh. Is he related to Patrick? No, it doesn't seem like it. Huh, that's kind of funny, isn't it? But Joe Pavelski was on this team. Makes sense, doesn't it? Because Evander Kane was a Shark as well. Was he actually a Shark in this time frame? 2012, 2013? No, he was a Winnipeg Jet at that time, so we just happened to have been there with Joe Pavelski. His Sharks days, Evander Kane's that is, came a lot later. But sometimes you do get some unexpected results when NHL caliber guys go over to the Continental Hockey League. Alex Steen 789 says, I think a lot of that is the attitude of the guys going over. Most of the big names think they're still big shots and don't realize how good the KHL is. Plus, a lot of guys like Evander Kane see it as their only way to get a paycheck and aren't really there to be the best version of themselves. I still can't believe the Canucks with locker room issues thought Evander Kane was a good idea. Of all the questionable decisions the last regime made, this is by far the most confusing. Maybe the idea was that everyone would hate Kane so much they'd put their existing squabble behind them. Okay, that's not gonna happen there. Anyways, this is what was posted about by the Mug NHL on Twitter. I don't think I've ever seen this. Elite Prospects lists Evander Kane to Ak Bars Kazan as doubtful on their own website. And that's what's popped up as well if you head over to my version of EP. You can see the trade from Edmonton over to Vancouver, and then you've got this Canucks to Ak Bars Kazan thing popping up. Heading over to the source, you will see the original article on sports.ru. Evander Kane, if he heads over to the Continental Hockey League, do you think that spells the end of him and his National Hockey League prosperity? You would probably assume so, right? I mean, he's 35 years old, just turned 35. Happy belated birthday to Evander Kane. But this is a guy that I think, not even based off of the way that he produced, but more so just based off of the way he played and the way that the team that he played on, how they viewed this dude. It indicates so much more that Kane just isn't really a guy that has a spot in the National Hockey League anymore, unless a top-tier team with no attitude issues internally, they're super like-minded and they have this vision for what they need to do. Unless a team legitimately sees Evander Kane, they look at what he did last year on the worst team in the league, and they look at how he just kind of lazed around the ice, and they say, yeah, that's our guy. That's the player that we want for our team. Unless somebody specifically calls him up and is like, yeah, you are our solution, I don't think Evander Kane's going to go out there and just get all the interest that he can get. I mean, look at the free agent market right now. If you want players that can be physical and provide a nice little scoring touch, I think the best version of that that's still on the market is Eeli Tolvanen. He's aggressive as all heck. He does go out there and fight the good fight. He stands up for his teammates. He goes out there and buries guys into the boards, all while providing an underrated scoring touch that is pretty similar to Evander Kane. There's a number of options out there that I do think can essentially do what Kane does, but better, whilst being younger guys that, at this point, you know, if Evander Kane comes back to the NHL, I'd be very surprised. Maybe Russia is the last place he's going to be able to suit up for contract-wise this season. But you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How does that make you feel? Earlier, we were speaking about the Canucks potentially bringing Kane back, but now it's like, hey, the KHL is calling Kane's name. Thoughts in the comment section down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.